I'm Mike.
Nathan.
I'm Victor.
And this is The Big N. Today on the show, we're going to look at the recent Nintendo Direct that came out and look at some of the games Nintendo announced. We're also going to look at the release for Super Mario Run, as well as the news and information surrounding their plans for smartphone games. Finally, we're going to do our second retro review, and this week we're going to look at Metroid Prime. So, starting with our Nintendo Direct, which was on September 1st, this just focused on 3DS. No NX news, unfortunately. And
I want the NX. I want it.
I think we all do.
I want it.
There wasn't even any Wii U stuff. Not that there's much to talk about, but...
There's Paper Mario Color Splash coming out in a couple days.
No.
If you like Splatoon...
Oh my god.
Yeah, of course.
Please stop.
I just want the NX. That's all I'm going to say.
Yep, well, you're not going to get it here. And a number of 3DS games were revealed, some old news, some new, and a few games ported from the Wii U to the 3DS. I guess we know now that the Wii U has been completely given up on with all the good games being ported to 3DS, so now you don't even need a Wii U anymore. You can just get those games on 3DS.
It is now a Netflix machine for me. It is just a glorified Netflix
If only they
machine.
put Splatoon on 3DS, then I think there'd be no more reason to get a Wii U.
And Bayonetta 2.
No way Bayonetta 2 will be able to handle on 3DS. You have to give up the frame rate, which you don't want to do.
Yeah.
But first up, we have Pokemon Sun and Moon, which information has been trickling out at a pretty, well, less of a trickle, more of a slow-running stream that Pokemon Company's been releasing information about the new set of games coming out in November. And with, Pokemon Go being so successful, I think they're doing we've talked about on the show before about Sun and Moon and how we like where it's going, but they keep revealing, little bits of information, and I like what I'm seeing. Nathan, what do you think of what they've shown recently?
Yeah, I think it's nice. Like, I think we're getting a new video about it. Like, it seems like every week. So we always get some kind of new information about the game. It's crazy the amount of new stuff they've actually decided to put into it. Because we were talking about before how Pokemon seems kind of stagnant series. Nothing new really happens in it. All the big changes have happened in the past. But with Sun and Moon, it looks like they're finally going for more gameplay changes than they have before. Mm-hmm.
And so the recent video, we learned more about the gym, the new changes to the gyms, the fact that it's not somebody's one evil organization, it might have two evil organizations, so perhaps we'll have some kind of story this time, at least more than just, kid beats eight gym leaders, beats Elite Four, becomes champion. Maybe they're putting a little bit of effort into story for once.
Well, we also had Aqua and Magma from Ruby Sapphire before.
Let's not talk about that.
What? You don't like Ruby Sapphire?
No. I had Emerald. I didn't have to go. I got the best of both worlds. And fully, we have now. They brought back the full costumes so people can design their trainers again, which people are very upset about X and Y, and also the new. First we had the alternate forms, and now we have these new kind of Pokemon. The ones that have like enhancements, some perhaps like evil corporations enhancing Pokemon.
Our artificial Pokemon are now taking center stage.
Yeah, so a lot of things going on. So we'll keep on this and update you as the podcast goes on. But so far so good. I mean, Sun and Moon is shaping up to be a new take on the series, and as information keeps coming, we will update you guys.
I'm curious, what's the name of that Pokemon again? The artificial one? It's some really weird name.
Mimikyu?
No, it's something like some kind of weird. It's some kind of word. It's a word, but I can't remember what it's called. Or it's like 001 something. I don't remember.
I honestly don't look at Pokemon because it's the one thing I look forward to the most. So I want to be surprised. I generally don't. I just
kind of reference like Missing No or something like that. Just some weird random.
Yeah,
it's didn't think of it like that. Yeah. Oh, maybe.
Maybe.
And we also have two Wii U games getting ported. We got Super Mario Maker 3DS being ported for December, and we have Woolly World, surprisingly, being ported to 3DS in February. Mm-hmm. Mario Maker, kind of missing a few features, some people would say.
More than a few
not
features.
just a few. I think one of the biggest ones, which everyone would obviously say, is, I want to take my Mario Maker levels on the go. But they don't have that.
Yeah.
You can't send levels to your friends. You can't look up levels.
You can get them by Street Pass, though.
Oh
man.
Wow. Nintendo's really with the times these days.
I know, it's so useful here in Canada where, the spread of our population is just so, it's just
when I'm
so,
out in Alberta,
so tight together,
I'm sure I'll be able to Street Pass my fellow friends and get those Super Mario levels.
I don't know. I think Alberta would have a lot of Street Passers. I mean, I think...
We'll go to the territories. And
when I'm in the Yukon, I don't know about that. up north there, you know. Hey, bud, you got a Mario Maker level there?
Oh, maybe they do. I
Maybe.
mean, but yeah, it's obviously not as good as.
Lots of the Inuit, if you have any vessels.
They're igloos, just making Super Mario levels.
I'm sure there's probably some people.
There's probably some.
Yeah, it's not gonna be.
We're speaking to like the Mario making Canadian population, northern. We're looking out for you guys, up north.
Yes, we want to make sure everyone is equally represented. Everyone gets proper service. Mm-hmm. And Woolly World is coming out, which surprisingly getting a port, getting some new amiibos, of course, and getting some new content. The game just came out last year, so already going to be getting a more enhanced port that's going to cost $20 less. And I've spoken before how much I like Woolly World, so of course I'm happy that more people will play because it's going to be released on a console, or sorry, a system people actually own. So I'm looking forward to that. A few other things coming out in the near future. We got Mario Party Star Rush. We've watched enough videos now to know that the old school mode is not on it. So
no one cares.
No.
Again.
Yep, I think that pretty much summarizes that game. Although there are no new amiibo, as they've showed before, but yep, still no old school mode. I mean, maybe, but they keep slow steps towards going back to the old school. So I feel like maybe with 3 more of these games, they'll finally add an old school mode.
I keep saying I want a Super Mario All Stars. I mean, a Mario Party All Stars. Correct myself. Where you just get the best mini games, best levels from all the Mario Party games. Throw them into one game, NX, done. Yep. That could be a launch title right there. I'd buy it day one, and that'd be a great party game.
Same with me. But no, they want us. But no, Victor,
they don't want money.
Now everyone can roll the dice at once.
We can all take our turns together.
But you can't play as Toad. Now you play as Toad.
Oh.
But you can recruit your favorite characters. Isn't that exciting?
Wow. Is Waluigi in the game?
Yes.
Okay, so that's one step in the right direction.
And he has an amiibo, so
yeah.
Everybody buy the amiibo. Show Nintendo we want a Waluigi.
Yeah.
Embrace the memes.
Embrace the memes.
Yep. And also coming out in the near future, we have the new 20th. Is it 20th or 20th anniversary Zelda amiibos? We got 8-Bit Link, Ocarina of Time Link, Toon Link, Wind Waker Link, I guess another version, and Zelda. So
shout out to my friend Murshad, who is obsessed with Zelda. He's probably going to buy all those day one.
They look pretty nice.
Oh, the Ocarina of Time Link especially looks really
nice. Yes, Ocarina of Time I will buy. I told myself I would never buy more than one copy of character. Like, no, that is a waste of money, but I'm like, Ocarina of Time Link. I'm like, damn it, that
one looks so good.
My brother's favorite Zelda Ocarina of Time, so he will have that. I'm like, okay, don't do this for any other series. Well, Mario's already done it, so yep. Amiibos aren't going anywhere.
Nope.
Yep, and we have a couple games coming out next year. I guess the big surprise, the only real new game they revealed was the new Pikmin game. Not Pikmin 4, everyone, unfortunately. I guess we'll save that for the NX. But we have Pikmin. We don't know the subtitle. And it's kind of an action side-scroller. If you played the Chibi Robo Ziplash game, which probably no one did because it was pretty bad. But that's sort of what kind of Pikmin's going for, it looks like. So, side-scrolling levels, except with Pikmin play, throwing Pikmin, collecting fruit, killing enemies, and eating the carcasses, and, converting into energy. We didn't really see much gameplay, but, again, it's sort of along those lines. It looked pretty nice. Victor's saying, it does make use of kind of the 3DS capability.
Yeah, it does.
Two
with
screens.
The 2 screens like that. You can't go wrong there.
Throwing Pikmin with the game touchpad. So, stylus. So, in that sense, kind of feels like it would fit on the 3DS. I'm just hoping that they got their good solid A team on this game, not the C team.
I feel it's just a matter of level design. If they can make great level design and connect everything together in a really nice way and make a really good flow, I think the gameplay already looks solid. So it's just as long as they have good level design to accompany that, I think it'll be a solid game.
So don't have the Chibi Robo team working on it because that was their C team. And so we also have a bit more information on Ever Oasis coming out in 2017. Kind of still looking like one of the few, I guess, RPGs coming out next year, right, Nathan?
Yeah, as far as I know, yeah. And I guess we'll get more information later on it.
I still kind of want to do well because I still feel like it fits on the 3DS. It kind of still feels like a Nintendo kind of RPG, if that makes sense. Like, remember the tone to me,
I guess it kind of reminds me of like other dungeon crawler games, but this one has a little more of that Nintendo feel to it. I get it.
And finally, for those who like Mario sports games and you stop buying them after Mario Tennis or Mario Golf. Well, here we go. We got soccer, baseball, tennis, golf, and first time horse racing all together.
Oh my gosh!
In one game. So if you bought Mario Golf or tennis on the 3DS, just that, I guess you got ripped off because now they're all going to be in.
Oh my gosh! Well, it wasn't horse riding in the Olympic Games with Sonic. I think
so.
Have been.
Yeah.
Probably at some point, but not just with Mario and friends.
I saw a Giant Bomb video of Donkey Kong riding on a horse, and they do tricks. Some good stuff. Like I recommend checking that out. Some good meme material. There's some fun in there.
Yeah, so putting 5 sports in one game, and I'm sure it'll sell well.
Unfortunately, they don't look. The only issue is they don't look as good as the individual ones. Like Super Mario Strikers looks way better than the soccer game.
Yeah.
Like Mario Golf looks obviously.
The whole point of the sports games, they put a twist on an existing sport. Yeah. So you look at Strikers, it just looks like this crazy action-packed game that just happens to be soccer.
Yeah.
So it's unfortunate. It's straight sports and Mario characters isn't gonna be good. It needs to be a Mario game with sports in it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's what made the GameCube sports game so good. Is that they're all unique in their own way, and now they're just going back to making standard sports, which isn't really as much fun.
Yeah, they should take like a page of something like shout out to a PC game called Lethal League, where it's like this really crazy like dodgeball type game where they're just like jumping and you just back and forth 2D style dodgeball where you're hitting a ball at each other, and it's just like so much fun. Like just I don't know, just take a sport and innovate on it. I think Nintendo could do that. Just need to focus on that.
But they are taking a page. That's why we have Super Mario Run.
Whoa, yeah.
It's a brand new thing that hasn't been done before, right?
It is. It is new. It's kind of controversial, but it's definitely something new because one-handed Mario bringing Mario to the iPhone. It was part of the Apple reveal. Yeah,
this is the Big Apple reveal.
It was a Big Apple reveal, and I think
great for the stock price.
Yeah, I did raise your stock. Definitely a better reveal than the headphone jack. Yeah, I don't know what to say about it. It's crazy to think that an iconic game will just be on mobile. It really shows you the power and influence mobile has these days. So.
Yeah. I mean, we've talked a bit before on the podcast about these games are less of like this is gonna be like Nintendo's gonna like change iPhone games more of we're gonna pump our property and get more people to play it so they'll come back and get the console game or 3DS and like Super Mario Run. I mean, it's a running game. There's lots of those already. Like it's just gonna be Mario running game and it's gonna sell well. I mean, the projections saying it's going to be the first game to have something like 1 billion downloads or something ridiculous like that.
I can't see that happening. I can see that happening if it's free to play, but it's not.
Yeah.
So when I looked at the numbers that analysts gave, I was like, this kind of seems kind of unrealistic.
Yeah. The success of Pokemon Go is that it was on both iPhone and Android. It was free to play and it had microtransactions. So they need to replicate that. They need to have free to play and a lot of microtransactions. That's how you make those billions.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure we'll have microtransactions.
I don't think people will want to pay like money for Mario game. They're gonna look at it and be like, I don't want to pay that much. I'm just gonna play my free runner. Yeah, so I think that's
unless this price really competitively, like I'd say the max is $5. I'd say it would be the max people are going to pay for that probably.
Yeah, I personally wouldn't pay it. I'd rather just go get a 3DS and play proper Mario.
Yeah, that's the idea, right? That's why they're making these mobile games. So that you look at this mobile game, you're like, this is trash. So let's go play the real one. That's
an interesting marketing tactic.
Yeah,
or
it's worked. It's worked already.
Or it's it's for that kid who's like 10 and like his first gaming device is a phone. It's like, I like this game, and their parents like, here's a 3DS for Christmas.
Yeah, definitely 3DSs are a good Christmas item.
I just think
that could be what they're going with.
Yeah, and they also Fire Emblem and Animal Crossing got delayed now, 2017. I guess not surprising considering it's Nintendo and Mario. Obviously, Mario Run's gonna be their main focus. They want that to come out perfectly, and hopefully after Pokemon Go, they probably now have proper estimates of how much how many downloads they're gonna get and like making sure everything worked out so they don't have some of the issues that Pokemon Go did.
One thing I'll say about Super Mario Run, if it is being charged, that means we'll get a more fuller game on mobile because the big problem with free to play games is that they're just empty. They're just empty games. Like Pokemon Go, I think after a while, like the player base has gone down drastically because people realize, wait, there's not much to do here. So Super Mario Run might actually have some content in there because you're paying for it.
I think that's one thing Miyamoto was saying in an interview. He was saying he doesn't want it to just be like having 5 levels. Like I think he said like this is gonna be a full game, like a lot of levels. And I saw some videos like they're gonna have like coin like equivalent of having the 3 golden coins in like the older Mario games. So like there's gonna be like reason for people to play levels over again, collectibles, speed run stuff. He was saying like I want all that stuff going on. So like casual people can play it. Of course, casual people can play it, but also like the people who want to have their speed runs and want to get perfect timing every level, they can do that too. So
see Super Mario Run at next GDQ.
I don't think they want somebody's Pokemon Go is its own thing. I don't really think they want their Nintendo made first
this is a
mobile game
Nintendo
to look like a really shitty, as you said, like who made this? Like one programmer of the company want to make sure, it's got Miyamoto stamp of approval.
Yeah, having Miyamoto's
make sure it looks
and plays and runs well, because probably got a lot of issues with running. Yeah, and I also think it's cool just I think for the future if they just focus all their like casual efforts on mobile and then give these big meaty games for their main consoles, because it's a good like trade off.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that is the marketing strategies going forward, is just to make these mobile games that aren't quite like what people wanted, so that people buy their actual consoles and stuff.
It's all marketing, really.
Yeah, it's worth for Pokemon Go. Actually, I think that I saw some kind of news report. I need the source for this or something. But I think Pokemon Sun and Moon are looking at to be one of the most pre-ordered Pokemon games ever.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's good too. Like, and I said that's I think the main point is like I'm like they don't need to make money. I've said this before. They don't need to make money. Just it's to have the brand awareness is important, and getting people who aren't like our age who played this for 15 years is get these young kids or older adults and just playing these games again and. It'll work. Like Pokemon, like I said, like Pokemon Go, like all controversy, like free press. It was they
it was
say
amazing press for Pokemon.
Yeah, any press is good press. And I was telling Nathan, like when I'm listening to the radio and I hear like people at like 12 o'clock news, is Pokemon Go bad for kids? Or, like I was saying it's like 1997 again. So, I think it's gonna be a good thing. It's gonna be good because I own stocks in Nintendo, so I'm hoping I made a good investment there.
You bought stocks now?
I did. I didn't know my financial advisor could do that in 5 seconds for me because my other people said they couldn't. So I was like, all right. So please make Super Mario Run work out properly and also mount the NX so I can get my.
Remember to sell your stocks before the NX gets announced because it's gonna go down.
No. I'm hoping the opposite. Hoping their stocks will go up. Their stocks are still maintaining quite high.
Yeah, until the NX gets announced.
The NX gets announced like some gimmicky thing like.
Please don't tell me that.
Like everyone universally hates it.
Please don't tell me that.
She bought after the NX announcement.
So you never know, but it's funny you brought up. We're talking about like consoles bringing hardcore, and there was a time when people did identify Nintendo as the hardcore console.
Yeah, they were.
Especially thinking back to the GameCube. The GameCube, the little console that kind of got ignored for a lot of time. Looking back, it was PS2 was just so good at the games, and GameCube wasn't. N64 was sort of magic for a lot of people, and of course Wii being never again we're getting something like the Wii. And the GameCube's always been like the weird middle child Nintendo.
It was.
And yet, GameCube had a lot of good games.
Yeah, it had a lot of great games. But also had the mini disc problem. I don't ever know why they went to the mini disc because that caused some issues with like third party and just like publishing, right? Because it was just a different format compared to just the standard CD that Xbox and PS2 is using.
Yeah, but Dad, those discs were good though. All like my GameCube games are all scratched to hell, but they also work.
That's great. Yeah.
Well,
GameCube's so durable.
Nintendo's stuff was always durable. And one of the best games, or one of the games I think people would always remember the GameCube, of course, is Metroid Prime. And it's hard to believe, as we're talking today, Metroid Prime is about 15 years old now, which seems like...
I think it's more than 15 years old.
Came out 2002.
Oh, no, I was talking about Metroid Prime. Okay, I thought you were talking about the series as a whole.
Let's
say it's 20 years, I think, since Metroid.
The Prime series we're talking purely.
Yeah, Prime, yeah.
Fun fact, I think it was the first shooter I played on GameCube, and still the best.
Are there any other shooters on GameCube?
Oh, yeah,
well, there's like, the 007 series, Nightfire.
Yeah. Well, Nightfire
but yeah, there wasn't that many shooters on GameCube.
But so Metroid Prime was originally released on the GameCube in 2002. It is developed by Retro Studios before they became the darling of every Nintendo fan's hearts. Metroid Prime today is still widely remembered not only as a sort of the standard Metroid game that we all compare it to, but also one of the Nintendo's best GameCube games, period. With its detailed graphics, haunting soundtrack, memorable boss fights, and dynamic world exploring, Metroid Prime represents Metroid at its very best, and in some ways Nintendo at its very best. So today we're going to do a retro review of a game which was, when it was originally announced, was criticized heavily and doubted as people saying, Metroid can't go 3D, it's been too long, keep it 2D, how dare they make it, who's this American studio making Metroid?
America?
Yeah.
How dare America make my Japanese game series?
But, 15 years later, I think all those people were proven wrong pretty quickly. So let's look at a game that is gone from cheers to jeers, and what can Nintendo, learn from this game, and why is it something we still look back fondly over time? So first, I want to just go around our table and just ask people what their relationship with Metroid Prime is, where they get the game, what was your experience playing it like, and just talk about their memories about the game. So I will start with you, Nathan.
Yeah, I got a fun story. So when I went to get my GameCube, it was actually because of Pokemon Coliseum. A lot of my friends in school were talking about Pokemon Coliseum on GameCube, and I figured I had to go and get a GameCube for Pokemon Coliseum. Then when I went to go get my GameCube, me and my dad went to EB Games to pick it up, and my dad was asking the sales associate what other GameCube games do you recommend to play on the GameCube, and the sales associate brought up Metroid Prime. Now, I'd always been, ever since I knew about Metroid, I'd always been kind of like afraid to play it because I'm not a big fan of horror stuff, especially as a kid.
Mm-hmm.
So I remember rejecting my dad. My dad asked me if I wanted to get Metroid 2 for Game Boy, and I said no because I didn't want to be scared of it. Mm-hmm. So my dad just he said if I forget it then when I went to get the GameCube and he brought Metroid Prime, I was a little worried about not wanting to play it, and my dad's just like, okay, fine, whatever, I'll just play it. I'm just gonna get this game. Mm-hmm. Of course, my dad never ended up playing it. But eventually, after being Pokemon Coliseum, and I didn't get another GameCube game for a while, and I think even with Super Smash Bros. Melee, I didn't have anybody to play with at the time, so I just sat around, didn't really do much. So eventually, I just popped it in, and that I think Metroid Prime was the first real adventure game for me, because I'd played Zelda games before, mm-hmm. but never really gone too far into them. So Metroid Prime was my first adventure game, and it's still one of the best ones that I've ever played.
Victor?
My experience, I remember playing Super Smash Bros. And I was like, who is this robot? What is this robot character? Samus? Never heard of this Samus robot?
Never heard of him before.
Yeah, never heard of him before. And then, I had no idea who Samus was. So Metroid Prime was my first Metroid game, my first exposure to the world of Metroid and what.
Oh, well, this was your first one.
Yeah, I never played Metroid ever. Mm-hmm. I haven't actually played any of the Metroid games before Prime, and I regret that. I need to spend the time to play like Super Metroid Prime or the original. Super Metroid. Oh, I want to play that. Yeah, because I've heard that's like one of the greatest.
Get on the Wii U Virtual Console.
Yeah, I should. Yeah. Well, but I remember just. Yeah, it's a great blend for a shooter to be an adventure game. I don't know many first-person adventure shooter games out there, and Metroid Prime absolutely nailed it. It had a cool. It kind of felt like Zelda, like Nathan was saying, where it kind of had that open-ended world where you could, but then you'd have to get upgrades to explore more of that world, and I was absolutely blown away. It was just a complete blast. Just the feeling of charging your shot and having the GameCube rumble and firing it off and just knocking enemies was so satisfying. I really enjoyed it. And there's not much, I don't know what else to say. I just played the rest of the whole trilogy as they came out, and I can see why people really adore it. Really great game design. Amazing graphics for the time. Still holds up. Looks great. Great graphics, great level design, great gameplay. Just an all-around amazing game. Yeah.
And we will get through some of that today.
What was your story, Mike?
What?
What was your story?
Well, I mean, I've sort of mentioned on the podcast before that I do play a lot of games with my brother, so because of that, there are certain series I basically don't touch. It's like his territory, and which people find strange. Like, people find strange that we just play a lot of single-player games together, which people are like, don't do it. You make your own file. I'm like, no, it's like, I don't have enough time. I'll watch him play it once, So, I never played Metroid Prime, but I watched my brother beat it 8 times, so I know just about as much of the game as, any other person, because I've seen him play it so many times. And I don't think it was his first Metroid game. I think his first game was Zero Mission. And I remember he got Prime, and he's like, I don't like shooters. Oh, the controls are kind of weird. And that quickly melted away. He's like, oh, this is one of the best games ever. And what I remember about the game is it's watching someone play it I found really fun, and I just thinking about it is not just like exploring, but just the world building that game. They did such a good job. Like, I think of like all the time someone must have spent writing all the scan logs for like the creatures and the lore, and some people don't like reading in games, but to get the full, I feel like to get the full breadth of that game to really appreciate it, reading all that lore it's written quite well, and it's really interesting. And I remember just like, you're always pausing, you want to read, and getting all those scans. And that's one sort of the innovation they brought in that game was the scanning, and which is a really cool feature. And just thinking about that game, just visually, it was great to watch, and of course the soundtrack, listening to it, I think is one of the best soundtracks in video games. And just it's one of those games where you can pause and kind of appreciate those moments. So many games kind of move so fast. You're just like, gotta go here, and that game you kind of just can stand still, and you're just looking at around the environment, listening to that soundtrack, and you're kind of at peace because it's just so good. And yeah, it's a game like you. My brother bought the trilogy, likes all three. He loves Metroid. He hated Other M. He
never put Other M.
That's good.
Yeah.
You should actually. I think I told Nathan we will do a retro review of Other M one day, just because.
Yeah.
I think it's good to do reviews of games that honestly are hated that much, because I think to step away from that, find out was it really as bad as people say.
Yeah.
And it'd be interesting for you to play it, because I don't know how much of the hate around that game, but
yeah, I don't know.
So that would be it'd be good.
That's another episode. Right
That
there.
is going to be another episode.
I'd still say that Other M, it's kind of got unfair rap. Like, I'm still I never played it myself, but I've seen the videos of Samus being a total pansy.
Yeah,
it's just
because Metroid isn't known for its story. It's the story in Prime, for example, is really straightforward.
Yeah, story in Prime is also just told through the lore of the story.
Yeah.
You get all the background just by reading.
Metroid's always been kind of about that, though. It's always kind of been the story and the lore is always in the background, and Samus is just bounty hunter on a mission, and it's cool in that way, because it's all just hidden through the back, and you kind of learn it through all these cues.
Yeah,
like things like just seeing things on the walls as you walk by, or like audio cues and the music. It kind of just creeps up on you, and I think this game does it beautifully.
Yeah, and you're bringing up the story and characters in this game, like the way they use the lore, and I think as a player, you don't have to collect the lore, you don't have to, but if you're someone who wants to, it's you never get bogged down in that game. I think some games do bog you down with text and things, whereas this game's if you're interested in that,
you can scan everything.
Yeah, you can scan everything. And I think also you brought up Samus Samus is an interesting character. I mean, being kind of the only flagship female character Nintendo has, but yet in some ways some people say she sometimes has no characteristics. She's just kind of silent bounty hunter and just doing her business.
Yeah, that's cool.
I think that's perfectly cool. Yeah.
But she kind of really works for this game, and really she just kind of because she doesn't speak, because she's kind of in that suit, she's sort of there. And again, you're in a first person perspective, and it really does work well. I mean, the first person, ironically, not having any dialogue. I mean, that first person, I feel, kind of brings out her characters. When you're in those intense fights, you really do feel like this character. When you're jumping and things are coming at you, and you're just kind of you're saying charging the arm cannon. You gotta really do get that rush.
Well, that's kind of a trope of games, is the silent character. You're Gordon Freeman, your Master Chief, kind of. You feel Link. Like you are Samus. You feel like. And because she doesn't talk to as much of a personality, which I guess, Samus in general doesn't have much of a personality. I don't know much about it. I guess that's why people don't like Other M, is because they gave her a personality and it didn't gel well. Yeah. And that's why people are worried if the new Zelda game will have Link talking, because people are like, oh no, I don't want our beloved Link to talk. So because of that, they just want to focus purely on gameplay. With the silent protagonist kind of trope, you can just focus purely. Like I was saying, it's all subtlety. This game is all just about subtleties and little things you learn about Samus, little things on how she acts. Yeah. And that defines her character.
Yeah, and thinking about the lore and how, again, because things like space pirates don't speak and the codes are already dead, but then we learn so much around in the world. And I think gels into the gameplay, which you were saying before. We were talking about a bit before the podcast about, how Metroid Prime is sort of unique creation as sort of a action shooter adventure, right?
Well, at the time, the big game was Halo. Halo was the shooter, and it was very Master Chief, and it's a great game in its own right, but it's very linear, straightforward shooter, vehicles, etc. Metroid is very much about atmosphere, learning the world around you, and also losing your powers in the beginning and being more powerful over time. The game design is built around that, and you feel really weak in the beginning of the game, as you would have kind of every Metroid game, but Prime just... the combination of the music and the atmosphere really just gave you this feeling of I'm deep in the crap right now, and it's unfortunate because you're I don't know what to do, and sometimes you even have to run away. Sometimes you're not even powerful enough to take on baddies, and the game also will just straight up say you can't go to this area because you're not good enough. And when you have that feeling of feeling weak in a game is always just great game design, because overcoming it makes you feel that much better.
And I think another thing on that note is they give you very little instructions in that game. I mean, it's something like a classic Metroid game. They drop you in the planet, and I think they give you basically no instructions where to go at the beginning of the game. It's you can go wherever you want, and you'll eventually, I remember my brother, I think he had to spend 40 minutes trying to figure out, okay, I finally figure out I can go to this room, and that's the start into Cause of Ruins, figure out.
Yeah.
And not a lot of games would do that these days, to kind of drop the player in and not give you instructions
that's
how to...
That's a big criticism of modern gaming now, like 2010 to 2016 type gaming, because...
Now they're all like, here, you have to do this, you have to go here. And it basically gives the player no real freedom to do whatever they feel
and
like.
they'd probably throw in some microtransactions like, oh, you need more super rockets, pay $20 and get the super rocket pack, or just skip this section entirely and get all the power-ups, like that kind of thing. But yeah, that's why games like Dark Souls also prevails, because just that great game design is when you can guide the player without explicitly telling them. That is a sign of masterful game design, because it's very easy to say, just go here. Anyone can do that. But to create a world where it's slowly pushing you in the right direction, and it's not hard enough where you have no idea what you're doing, you're like, I'm just lost. Like some games are just too big, and you're too vague, and you can just, I don't know what to do. But Metroid Prime is just it pushes you in the right direction enough for you to really feel like you're exploring and you're discovering. That's great game design.
Yeah, they give you the, like, occasionally it'll pop up, like, it tells you to press, like, it'll tell you, like, oh, it's scanning the area. It'll tell you, like, there's this thing here. We don't know what it is, but you can go to this area, and that's basically where it leads you. But you don't always have to follow that specific direction.
And I think another thing is that in a room, most of the time, there's always something in the room. And I mean, they don't give you clues, but if you look around enough, and again, I think it's interesting, good as game. Like, eventually, it'll put you pick up on these things. See, okay, spider track, and this isn't come back later, or this thing's bombable, and you think of again how massive the game and how much stuff there is to find. But it's, I think, done it in such a good way. And also, I think the 3D maps in the game were just done so well that as a player, you can remember these details and come back. I gotta come back here and get this, or I was supposed to do this, and it really comes together. And again, I mentioned in the intro how people criticize this. They said Metroid can't go 3D. It's a 2D series. It's never gonna make a transition. Retro Studios, who are these people? And I think they pulled off it. I mean, they took a 3D game and made it again 3D, and again, it's more of a shooter.
It's good reason to be worried when you love a franchise that's you have a lot of experiences with a 2D series, and it goes 3D. There's a lot of things that can go wrong. One game series, Sonic the Hedgehog, for example, a lot of things went wrong when Sonic went 3D, but that's not about Sonic. That's a whole different story. But that's an example of a series that can go wrong when things go 3D, and I can see a lot of things could go wrong with Metroid. They could lose a lot of the charm and that experience of the atmosphere and the game design, which the 2D Metroid games did it, but they just beautifully transitioned it to 3D.
Yeah. And the elements add, like I said, like the scanning is something new, and I think that added a whole new layer. And I think
great,
the first-person shooter also added, a bit of almost honestly claustrophobic element in the sense of, especially in some of those boss fights. The boss is so big, and you're kind of just looking through his visor, and the scale is there, and as with Metroid Prime 2 and 3, the scale even got larger. Like, especially in Metroid Prime 2, some of those bosses were just gigantic compared to you, and I think that scale really came through with this transition to 3D. And I think another thing that came through, or I think kind of blew everyone away, was the presentation. I don't know necessarily, looking back at the old Metroid games, they were like the greatest graphical advances. I mean, they're just NES games.
They were limited by their hardware.
Yeah. Whereas you think, and again, the fact that Metroid skipped N64 and now it's on GameCube, that Metroid Prime, it looked pretty damn good for its time.
It's a good looking game,
and it still holds up. I think today.
Still holds up really well today. Like that's the power of good, real artistic design, and being able to make effective use of the engine that you have. Because you were just playing it earlier, and you can make. Besides upping the textures, the game looks like you could easily have that easily could have been made like 5 years ago, 4 years ago, 3 years ago. But this was almost a 15-year-old game. It still looks fantastic.
And you think of some of those locations like Phantom Drift with the like the snow blurring hitting you, and or
the steam on your visor.
Yeah, the steam on your visor.
Yeah, those are great touches.
Just like the way that the doors like clink and open. That's more of a sound thing, and but just or like your mothership, and just I think presentation wise, and even like I remember thinking the lore. Like sometimes they show like the anatomy of enemies and just things like that, and just like. I think you guys are both right. It's like they put every little touch they did right in this game. Like they put that extra effort to make the enemy design look good and distinct. And I I think I remember one thing I always liked was when you do your charge beam, like when you have ice beam, your gun gets ice covering it, or
cool.
plasma beam, like the fire, and it just looked nice. It just looked good, and also because it looked good, you're playing in a first person perspective. There never was an issue where you couldn't necessarily see things. I think it was always quite clear. Like the room designs were quite good in that sense. Like because I think Metro Other M had this issue because it switched a bit between 2D and 3D. Like some rooms are too dark, you can't really see. You got to switch views. And Metro Prime is always pretty crisp and clear. Like I feel like it was never the odd room, right? But and it worked out really well.
I find that the difference between great games and good games is always just the amount of detail, just small little things. When you have little things in a game that just little touches that just make you, oh, that's really cool. That's what makes the whole game, the whole experience even that much better.
Mm-hmm. And I think Metroid really, shines through
Absolutely.
And also, I think the sound's another thing a lot of people appreciate.
Really good audio design.
Yeah.
Really, I think in gaming, audio and soundtracks sometimes can be undervalued. People don't really notice.
Yeah.
Just the sound design of a game, just take out the music, just listen to the sounds. Metro Prime is a great example of really good sound design.
Yeah.
Really, really, really good.
That's one thing I've kind of noticed in the last 5 years, that there seems to be less and less emphasis on soundtrack. Because I remember before, that used to count in when you make game reviews. You always have to include like the sound design.
Yeah.
And it seems like with modern games, no one really pays attention to the sound anymore.
But there's still games out there though. I think that
do. But no one really seems to really like. It's not emphasized anymore.
No.
Like for me, I always consider like some of the best games. You have to have a good soundtrack.
Yeah.
You have to have a good sound design.
Like brings it up that extra level. I think.
Yeah. Otherwise, you just don't have a masterpiece of a game.
Yeah.
So that's missing a lot in today.
And I know for a lot of reviewers, when I see people talking about Metro Prime, they talk about the one moment was when you first go into John Drifts, and that that I think it's probably one of the more famous kind of tunes from Metro Prime is that the John Drifts that sound the theme for the area, and just you walk in and you hear that the first few bars dun, 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 and you're just looking around this icy scape and you see the Shigoff.
Yeah.
And it's just a very iconic moment, and partly because it visually looks good, also because it's that sound is so good. The theme is just so catchy, memorable, and haunting.
Yeah.
And Metroid Prime has this great soundtrack, and it again even things from facing enemies like the sound in terms of the world is good. And also when I think of the boss themes, just like they're very intense. Like you really get, a good boss theme sometimes makes a difference between like just an okay fight and an amazing fight.
Yeah.
And Metroid Prime, brought it that level. So in that sense, I think it holds up well. And I think you're right. Like I think games don't appreciate soundtracks as much these days, or unfortunately, Nintendo is probably one of the more guilty companies of remixing songs from last 25 years because people expect they want to hear certain songs.
Yeah, but Nintendo has also a plethora of iconic sound design and sound little quips that they love to use. But yeah, Metroid Prime was unique. They threw kind of everything out and just made something new. It was really cool.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking about the legacy of this game. And again, it's interesting, we're talking about this game, and I think it's a good time to talk about this game, partly because the NX is coming out, and a lot of people are hoping, new Metroid game.
Please be new Metroid.
And, again, this came out 15 years ago, but, we think of what came out after this was Metroid Other M, which is, hated. And a lot of people say,
that was the last one we got.
Go back to Metroid Prime. Like, that's, let Retro Studios do it again. Let this game, just make another one of those. And I don't think there's a lot of times where gamers in general, yes, gamers are, I think, in general, a nostalgic bunch of people. We're always looking at our past. But, again, it's a 15-year-old game, and, we're now going to be 3 generations beyond it, and a lot of things have changed in gaming. And yet, this is the game people hold up. And, what's the legacy of this game? Why is it valued so much?
I'm speaking before about a first-person adventure game. I'm trying to think in my head more first-person adventure games. I can't really think of that many.
Especially ones that were as good.
Yeah, that were as good as Metroid Prime. And I think that's why when we talk about it, it's still really unique because I still can't think of a first-person adventure game that's executed so well. So that's why people want more of it, is because we just straight up, like, we have a million space shooters, we have a million Call of Duty type shooters. We don't need any more of those. I'm totally fine if those games were never made again, because you can always go back and play like your Halo and your Call of Duty, the best ones. But Metroid Primes, we only have 3, so people played them to death, and they want another one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I think that's why there's such a demand.
Mm-hmm. Nathan?
I was looking up because I think, as we mentioned before, when this game came out, everyone was just like, we can't have a game like this. But I think, reviews right away. I think it gave us like 95s, 100s. I think won Game of the Year for a few places.
Yeah, very high reviews.
Yeah. So I think it's still considered one of the best games of the last 15 years. So I don't think there's not too many games that came out in that time span that's as good as Metroid Prime.
Yeah, I was definitely like close to 10 out of 10. Back then in the early 2000s, the game scores wouldn't be like rounded to just like 0.5s.
Yeah.
Or even like now games, some people just do out of 5.
Yeah.
They had like 10 point scales, so it got like 9.6, 9.7. It was very close to a perfect game at the time.
Yeah.
Just really high reviews.
Yeah, I mean, I also think sort of the legacy of, I think it did bring Metroid 3D.
Yeah.
And which obviously that was a big accomplishment for them, taking this franchise that people said couldn't be turned to 3D and making it work. I also think it's another example of Nintendo likes to flip the table, and I think in some ways think about this is probably one of the more riskier adventures. Like they gave this franchise to a company that had pretty much almost zero experience. Said here you go.
I think they were pretty much zero experience. I don't think they made.
They had a few games,
a couple,
but small things, and they had some prototypes. And I think I remember reading like Miyamoto, they had a first-person shooter prototype, and he's like, "This looks really good, and like you can do Metroid."
Yeah,
that's insane.
That was it, and they pulled it off really well. And again, I can speak about Other M coming out after, and then the bar, how much it went down, and people were so upset. I mean, because it wasn't Metro Studios, it was Team Ninja working on it, and just all the changes made in that game. People you can't look at a Metroid game now and not compare it to Metroid Prime, and that's part of the reason why Other M's hated so much, and people say we haven't had a Metroid game since Other M. It's been I think 5 years now.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, and then we had
we're ignoring Federation Force.
Federation Force.
I don't know what you're talking about. That game doesn't exist. What are you talking about?
Exactly.
And it hasn't been a Metroid game since. Yep.
And I know a lot of people would say none of that matters. If we get Metroid Prime 4, all of us forgiven.
Not even that, but even just Nintendo they took a risk with this one. Take another risk with the Metroid series. Sure, try something new. Could be a Metroid Prime sequel. Could be a new first-person hybrid.
Or give us like a 3DS 2D Metroid game. Yeah.
Sure.
I gotta say though, for all the people who hated the Wii U, and there's a lot of reasons to hate it, I still think Metroid would have been amazing on the Wii U.
Oh wow!
The double screen. I still think holding up the thing as a scanner. Cool. Using the scan things.
Why didn't they do that?
I still don't understand why they didn't do that.
That would be a good one for a Metroid Prime 4. I'm thinking for the NX, I kind of don't want just a pure sequel. I kind of want something a bit different. I want with NX, the big word is risks. I want some risks. I want something new, innovate, spice it up some more.
Yeah. I hope so too.
Because we do have these 3 Prime games. Like a fourth one that's the same as these 3. With a 10-year span, a lot has happened. So I think it would be better if we had a newer change to just to show Nintendo who's boss.
I don't know if they necessarily would take those risks. I just feel like because Other M, in some ways they did take a lot of risks that game, like having the voice acting and the cutscenes and being more story driven. And I just feel like they'll never do that again. Like I know we talked about things like Star Fox Zero was like play it safe. I'm like I wonder if they would just kind of want to play it safe after all this time, but.
It has to be a smart combination of finding what the core of Metroid is, because you can play the 2D and the 3D, and you feel kind of the same experience is there. So it's just a matter of what is the core experience, and how can we take the current technology and adapt to it. So that's just being able to evolve well.
That's some really good final thoughts. Nathan, what are your final thoughts?
So for my final thoughts on Metroid Prime, I just kind of want Nintendo just to make another kind of Metroid Prime-like game again. Just have the amount of effort that Retro Studios put into it. Even if it's not Retro Studios that makes it, hopefully that they could just pass on their knowledge to a new team. And we just need another 2D or 3D Metroid game that's not a Federation Force. That's not just some weird.
I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know what game you're talking about.
I don't think
it's not just some weird shooter.
No one knows what
I don't know
you're
talking about.
I guess I'm the only one that
I just want a new Metroid game, guys.
We can hope that ending that Federation Force has, that means Metroid Prime 4 comes out.
I actually would be interested in that because I feel that is a part of the world I haven't explored yet. Is other bounty hunters. Metroid Prime 3 had some of that, which is good.
Ever played on the DS, Metroid Prime Hunters?
Yeah,
that's also a really cool one too because that dealt with other hunters.
Yeah, they tried channel Hunters into Federation Force, but it just didn't work.
Hunters was awesome. It was another great game there too.
There's some fun multiplayer that game.
Yeah, it was really fun.
That's funny that I mentioned that because I was just going to say before that if when the Wii U first came out, I was like, okay, in order for people to get like some kind of hardcore fans, some series would have to go first person shooter, and I figured it'd be Metroid that would do that.
It just seems like a shoe-in. Yeah. That and Pokemon Snaps are the biggest shoe-ins for Wii U.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I don't get it.
Sorry, we had to have
that's just Star Fox Zero.
I was trying to think of
I want to play Woolly World.
Okay, that's a good game.
I want to play. Yeah, I want to play Wonderful 101.
See, and this is the thing we're gonna get at our next episode.
Let's play Zombie U.
If the NX doesn't come out, is gonna be a Wii U retrospective, and I'll give a little advanced preview and say, joking about the Wii U. It's like, there are a lot of it's all like Nintendo released a lot of bombs on the Wii U. Most of their first party games were quite good. They just didn't make that many.
Yeah, I was going through my for the Wii U retrospective, where he's trying to prepare, and I was going through. Mike initially gave me like 2 honorable mention game slots to put games in. I was like, I need more room.
Three now.
Yeah, I need more room to put more games.
I want to play Minecraft story mode on Wii U.
Get out. Just get out.
Lego Dimensions. Lego City Undercover.
Yeah, for Wii U retrospective, we hope you look forward to that when we've been preparing this one for a while.
Yep, so please look forward to that. But now, shoutouts. Nathan, who should we shout out this episode?
Oh, I'd like to give a shout out directly to Nintendo for... You had 3 opportunities to announce the NX, and you missed all 3 opportunities. There's E3 in June, there's Gamescom in August, and there's Tokyo Game Show just this last month. You had 3 opportunities on the 3 biggest gaming conventions around, and to announce the NX, and you decided to not do that. So, what are you doing? There's 5 months until... Is it 5 months now? Yeah, 5 months until the NX comes out, apparently, in March. And we still don't have a reveal for that console yet.
I think it's not going to come out in March. I think they're going to delay it.
I really hope not, because I might not be here come past March. We'll see. I might be heading up to Japan if it all ends up well.
Just go straight to the source. Literally just like knock on the door and be like, guys, I've been waiting.
No, but this would actually be for a job, so.
What?
We'll see how it ends.
I guess
what? Next time on the Big N.
There is. Yeah.
So I'll have some time with the NX, hopefully, if I do end up going.
Yeah, well, I guess that'll be more news for next episode, hopefully. But today we want to thank Victor for appearing on the Big N.
Oh, no problem. It's great being on the Big N.
Good to have you back.
Yeah, it's great to be here. It was good to talk games and Nintendo.
And our main theme, which we like a lot, is provided by you.
Yay!
So we appreciate that.
I like making the bleeps and bloops, so it's fun to provide that.
And our editor is Kevin Nguyen. If you have any questions or comments, please email us at TheBigNPodcast@gmail.com. We will answer back any of your comments, criticisms. We'd really appreciate them. So send them in. And if you have any games you want us to do a retro review on, you could also send suggestions for that.
Send us the games itself. Just give us games.
Yeah, we really need Kirby Superstar Ultra. That's what we're looking for. We are trying to find a copy of that.
Yeah,
so.
Cause I'd love to give a copy of mine to Mike, but mine's kind of on it. It's something that I'm not supposed to have.
Something you're not supposed to have.
So Mike's looking for a copy of Superstar Ultra because we really like Mike to play that game.
Yeah.
So
hopefully next retro review. And if you like what you heard today, please subscribe to our channel. I'm Mike.
I'm Nathan.
I'm Victor.
And this is The Big N.